Welcome back, everybody. We are the Offside Zone. I'm Richie, your host, and we are back with the crew. We have Sam, Oswald, Cliff, and Toby. This will be episode 14. We are going to jump right in. It was just the best FIFA awards the other day, and we saw Lionel Scaloni take home the award for Coach of the Year. I want to get some opinions from you guys, so we're going to jump right into it. Who deserves Coach of the Season for the 2022-2023 season so far? And we're going to let Sam start with this question.
Yeah, it's a tight call between Xavi and Ten Hag for me, but I'm gonna side with Ten Hag. I'm gonna say Ten Hag for the amount of time he's had to work with that team and the drastic change that he's made in the club since last year and this year. I think has been more impactful than any other coach in Europe. When you look at Manchester United from last season and their performance compared to this season, it's not even the same team, and they have largely basically the same players. I think that the work that Ten Hag has done in the club in that short amount of time, I think so far I would have to give him the coach of the season for this year. Yeah, I'd give it to Ten Hag.
Okay. All right, Cliff, what about you?
I'll give it to Spalletti from Napoli. I think all the other coaches have had talent there that's been there since before the season. And with Napoli, they've lost their best player in Insigne, and they've been able to compete even better than they competed last season. They've gotten better with bringing in Kvaratskhelia, and Kim. So I think, and even you could even argue that the Serie A has been much more competitive than Premier League with the top six. So I would have to give it to Spalletti. So yeah, he's been top here.
Okay, Oswald, who do you think?
I'm in agreement with Luciano
Okay,
Spalletti.
I found this on the web.
I'm in agreement with Luciano Spalletti. Simply the fact that one, they're top of the league with 15-point lead to the second team, that's Inter. They've played 24 games, 21 wins. They brought in a bunch of new players. They got rid of players like Koulibaly. They got Kim. I think that's his name, Kim. Yeah, he's improved that defense drastically. They've only conceded 15 goals this season. That is Chelsea levels, like Chelsea levels defense right there. Osimhen has transformed. 19 goals in 20 games in the league. Kvaratskhelia, no one knew who he was last season. Came in there, changed the whole team drastically. Dribbling, scoring goals, amazing assists. Who else? What else? Man, there's a lot. There's a lot they've accomplished this season, including Champions League. They topped it. They topped their group, beating Liverpool twice. And also now they just won and just qualified to the next round of the Champions League. So they're in the quarterfinals. So listen, this season, hands down, Napoli.
All right, Toby.
Yeah, for me, I think Napoli has the closest shout to the person that I think it really is. I'll just be honest with you. It's the guy who's number one in the hardest league in the world, and that's Mikel Arteta. And now when you look at people like a Ten Hag, yes, he's come in there and he's did his due diligence at Man United, but I think it's overlooked when we consider how much money was already at Man United and the caliber of players that were already at Man United. So when you think about the Krabby Patty formula for football, you have good players that cost a lot of money. And then you add that with decent management. Notice I said decent management. So once you have those two in the formula, it usually equals good or decent results. So for Ten Hag, I think that was the formula that happened. Yes, he should get credit for doing what he did, but it shouldn't be compared to the work that people like Mikel Arteta are doing, who I honestly believe are getting the best out of players that aren't necessarily first on the team sheet in every team in the league. He's gotten the best out of every player on the Arsenal squad, whether they're on the starting 11 or on the bench. You got Nketiah scoring 6-7 goals when Gabriel Jesus is out. Now, that's not just the work of money. That is the work of a coach that really knows what he's doing. He inspires his players, and he's gotten them to number 1 in the league and potentially winning the first English Premier League in the last 19 years or so. So, yeah, I got to give credit where it's due. And that's really why I picked Mikel Arteta over like a Ten Hag. Now, you can argue for the Napoli coach because he's also number 1 in his league as well. And for me, that's the main criteria to picking who I believe is the coach of the year so far.
I mean, I see that point, but to me, like, the reason why I'd give it to Ten Hag over Arteta is
7-0.
Because the time period. Arteta took over. Arteta took over Arsenal in 2019. He's had 4 years to kind of build that club up in the philosophy that he wants. That's why I would give it to Ten Hag over Arteta, because Arteta had more time. So he better be getting results by this point. It's been 4 years.
You put Mikel Arteta or put Ten Hag at Real Madrid or any team that has a dispensary amount of money or within the squad, you should be getting results right away. That's my point. It's really an easy formula. If you have a decent coach, and he deserves credit, but if you have a decent coach, at least a decent coach, you should be getting decent results with them. And that's what they have. They're in third?
Did we not think Ralph Rangnick was a decent coach? He was a decent enough coach that
No.
Man United got him as their interim.
No, never thought Rangnick was. He wasn't even a coach.
Yeah, but Man United chose him as their interim. He couldn't have been that bad.
They were down bad. That's why they chose
exactly.
him.
They were down bad. And
I'm saying he's not a good coach. He's not a rated coach. Who is?
Okay, so how do you get the Manchester United interim job then?
Because they thought he had some certain philosophy that wasn't
he was rated at the time. He's not rated anymore because he performed poorly.
He was never rated as a personal coach. He was rated as a philosopher of some sorts that would bring the right people in to actually do the coaching. That's my point. Nobody rated that brother as a coach. But you see that? What is he coach?
Oh, like Manchester United didn't really spend that much money this season or 2023. Who did they buy?
They bought Anthony for 100 mil off Bucks. They bought Casemiro for 80 mil off Bucks. Before that, there was hella bread spent into that squad. Which is what I'm saying. Like Sam made the point that they didn't have to really do too much of a difference in terms of the personnel on the pitch, which is my point. If you have a decent coach, at least a decent coach with the right amount of players or the right credible players, it usually turns into good results. So for me, I think he should be getting those results because he's a decent coach and he should get credit for that. But when I see people like Mikel Arteta making Ben White look like top 3 right backs in the league, and somebody who's a center back, and you got people on the bench producing like their 12th man of the year, that shows me that he's putting more effort in as a coach rather than the actual personnel on the pitch. So for him being number 1 in that league, I have to give him coach of the year. So see,
Ten Hag with Manchester United, bro.
We
have people in here saying Rashford was finished, and now look at him.
Doesn't matter. Look at the rest of the people on there. Look at the rest of the people on the squad, bro. That's my point. They're a deep squad.
People were trashing Bruno Fernandes just last year too.
But he's one of the best in the world at the end of the day.
But last season he wasn't doing nothing. People were calling for his head last season. That's my point.
He's still one of the best in the world.
Performance of those players.
He's still one of the best in the world. And I'm not saying Ten Hag isn't a decent coach. He is, bro. He deserves credit for that, for getting the best out of the best players in the world anyways. But at the end of the day, I look at a coach that's getting the best out of the players that are not necessarily the best in the world and putting them at number one. I look at that as a whole bigger significance in terms of his personal coaching. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Sure. Fair opinion.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question, and this is the question: Is Thierry Henry underrated? Going to let Oswald start with this one.
Honestly, I think he's one of the most underrated players of all times. Listen, hear me out. He's not being talked about as one of the greatest players of all time. He should be at least in the top 20 of all times, hands down.
He is.
Is he not?
Listen, they don't really rate him that much. That's what I'm saying. When we talk about the greatest players, you hear your Cruyffs, you hear your what's his name? The German guy, the defender, I forgot his name. You always hear the same people.
Power.
Yeah, you hear the same people. Maldini. You never hear Thierry Henry. They don't really talk about him that day, except when he's only concerned about Premier League. They don't talk about him. They didn't talk about how he was the all-time goal scorer for France before Giroud broke that record.
That's facts. That's actually facts.
They never really talked about that. They always talk about Zidane, Platini.
That's facts.
And that's pretty much it. Very disrespected player.
That one is facts.
I'm sorry. But listen, hands down, the greatest player in the Prem. And he's in my top 10 of all time. Easily my top 10 of all time. And I wear his number. That's my favorite number 14. So
to interject there, for me, I think it depends on where you really rank him. Because, most people that know ball, you understand? Me, he's in my top 10 for sure. But I think what Oswald is alluding to is the fact that people consider him top 20 instead of automatically being in the top 10, which is why when you think about that, I do get the sense that he is underrated, because for me, he should automatically be in the top 10. World Cup winner, Euro winner, France top scorer before Giroud last World Cup, Prem top scorer for Arsenal. We're talking about invincible team, Champions League winner, started on a team with Messi, Eto'o. Come on, dude. And Ronaldinho. Come on.
Yeah.
So, to me, he automatically should be top 10. But, some people have him, lower down on their top 20s. So, if I'm looking at that, yeah, I do feel he's underrated in that sense.
And also, he's one of the most graceful players, just to watch on the ball. Speed. He's way better on the ball than Mbappe. He's a lot better, easier on the eye than Mbappe. He had more agility than Mbappe, speed. You could say Mbappe slightly has more speed, but come on, you can't really compare those two.
I think Henry was faster, but yeah, he was faster, more skillful,
stronger.
Yeah. The finishing that we're seeing with Mbappe now, his next level of finishing will be Thierry Henry. That's the next level he's trying to achieve, which is my point. So Henry was Mbappe before Mbappe was Mbappe, and Henry is Mbappe basically times 2, with the records, with the titles, with the credibility that Mbappe is chasing. So if you like players like Mbappe and you think he's going to break into the top 5, top 10 of the world, then you got to give it to Henry automatically. So when people start saying, oh, he's 17, oh, he's 18, oh, he's 19, he might not, people might even say he's not even the best to ever touch the Prem League. They might come in there and say Wayne Rooney or Alan Shearer or something. But to me, he automatically should be those things, which is why I think he is underrated in that sense.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I'm not seeing how anyone could rank Thierry Henry outside of the top 10. I've honestly never seen it. He's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. One of the greatest French players in the national team of all time. He's won everything that there is to win at football. One of the most graceful, technical players to ever play the game. He's in the top 10 easy. I don't even think it's a question for anybody that watches football. And I think even when we're talking about the Premier League player, the best Premier League player of all time, I think he's close to unanimous as the best Premier League player of all time. I don't think a lot of people would argue with that. So I don't think he's underrated, but it does depend on where you rank him. But like I think most people would rank him in their top 10, if anything. I've never seen a top 10 ranking that doesn't have Thierry Henry in it.
Oh, I've seen it. You could go online right now and search best players of all time. That brother probably gonna be like 40 or something. I promise you. Go on ESPN's top of all time. You're not even gonna crack that top 10.
Yeah.
All right, Cliff, what do you think?
Yeah, I think said something like when you talk about outside of the Premier League, then sometimes he's not as respected as he should be. Talk about the Premier League. I think everybody knows that he's one of, if not the best Premier League player of all time. But when you start talking about outside of that, like nationally, or when you start bringing in like the best to ever play like in the world, I think he's a little bit underrated because maybe he played in an era where there's so many great players that were maybe better than him. Like you have like Zidane, you have, Maldini, you have some of these players that like are the best, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, that were playing in that same era. So he might not have been that, peak player at that. So maybe that's why he gets looked down on. But I think he's easily top 10.
He was better than Shevchenko though. And I also think he's underrated because he didn't win a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
That's just off Bucks. That just shows he was underrated. Over Shevchenko? Or my bad. Pep? Yeah, no.
I mean, a lot of people still think that Nedved was better.
Yeah, that's insane.
A lot of people still think that
Nedved won the Champions League that year.
He was a great player, but come on, dog.
He was nowhere near Henry's level.
Nowhere near.
The Champions League, those awards, they value what you win, bro. I think Arsenal got knocked out in like the group stages that Champions League, and they had one of the best teams.
Yeah, Henry also had
those awards when you lose in big competitions, bro.
Henry also had damn near 30 goals, 30 assists
in that season. That was
crazy. That's nasty, bro.
Especially in that era.
Especially in that era.
That's Cliff said is the most accurate thing, though. Like, he played in an era where he was not the best player. Like you have Zidane, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldo that were all better than Henry at that time.
I think this era, if
nah, bro,
era like the one after Messi and Ronaldo, where the best is gonna be Mbappe or Haaland. I think if he played with these group of players, it would be clear.
I agree with that, bro. But like, I'm not even saying he didn't have competition. He definitely did. And those people in general, you will say they're better than him. That's cool. But at the end of the day, one of those years, he outperformed those guys. One of those years. That's why those two were up for Ballon d'Or. That's my point. He should have won that joint. And he probably should have won at least one of the years before or after that award show. So, like, I'm trying to understand. You can have better players overall or around you, and that's cool. Ronaldo always had Messi there. You get me? Messi's, in general, his play was always better than Ronaldo's. But in terms of performing better than the other, there's been years where you can say Ronaldo outperformed Messi, and there's years you can say Messi outperformed Ronaldo, and that's my point. All those players were there. But there was different years where these players outperformed the other person. And Henry, for at least 2 of those years, within that 1998 to like 2003, you can even say 4. Period, bro. Oh my goodness. There at least need to be 2 years where he should have at least got one. One.
Even with that, Ronaldo's only competing with Messi in that class.
But my point is made, bro. My point is made. His competition
with
when he lost.
Even if he has those 2 great peak years, he still has another player that
Yeah,
Like,
Messi,
like
Ronaldo only had to
Let
be
me-
better than
let
Messi.
me
Messi
interject.
only had to be better
Yeah,
than
you only
Ronaldo.
have to be better.
Listen,
He had to be better than Ronaldinho, Ronaldo,
Let me
Zidane,
and he
this.
all of them.
was
I'm,
his.
I'm sorry, but if you're comparing Messi and Ronaldo, if Messi and Ronaldo were playing in that era, your people like Ronaldinho, Zidane, Ronaldo, I mean,
Regular
maybe apart
superstars.
Ronaldo, they'll be around that level with the Modric, your Kevin De Bruyne,
Yeah, they'll be regular
regular
superstars.
superstars. They will nowhere near like outperform Messi
They're
or
not
outside
outperforming them.
Messi
Yeah.
or Ronaldo. Because
But
Messi and
that's
Ronaldo, they were putting up some most insane numbers.
and
Yeah,
that's what
definitely.
Henri did. And to go to Cliff's point, the point is he was Messi and Ronaldo. They were facing Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Henri was facing what's his name again?
Um, Ned-
What's his
Ned-
Nevded. That's my
Nedved.
point.
But
That's
it's like
my
it's so
point.
it's harder when you have to beat 10 guys than beat one single
That's-
person.
yeah,
That's
He
what I'm saying.
did. That's what I'm saying. He did.
No, but look at the during that time, they really looked at what you won, though, bro.
That's
Like
cool.
they're not
That's
gonna
cool.
they're not
That's
gonna
cool.
give you the Ballon d'Or when you don't win the Champions League, and then another great like Nedved is not a better player than Henri,
At all.
but he performed. He was a great player, and he
He
performed in
didn't
that Champions
outperform
League
better
run
than.
for Juventus. So it's like
Could have gave it to anybody on that team for real, for real. But hey,
Gomez was the best player
look
though.
at the brothers' numbers, bro. I'm just saying you could have given it anybody on that team, honestly. But look at the brothers' numbers. All I'm saying is one of those 2 years. I mean, at least two. Honestly, two. I would say two. 2 of those years, he outperformed all these people that you're mentioning. That's my point. And he shouldn't have lost to either one of the people that was up there for those years. That's all I'm. Especially Nevded. Especially Nevded. If you want to give it to he won the Champions League, cool. But what about the other years, bro? That brother was putting up basically 30-30 or at least 25-20, 25-25 and winning the Prem, winning Invincible, doing this at least 1-2 of those years, bro. That's my point. He ain't getting nothing.
You got to look at what the other players were doing in those years. That's what Cliff's main point is. It's like he had to compete with so many other great players that were on that similar level.
All I'm saying, he outperformed them for at least 2 of those years, bro. That's all I'm saying.
So we're pretty much all in agreement that Thierry Henry is underrated. Sure. So we're going to move on to the next one. And this question is, what is the best individual final performance of all time? See Toby rubbing his hands together. We're going to let him take this one first.
Man, I'm gonna be the odd person now. Honestly, the best individual performances, I have to give it to the two amigos that just went head to head at the World Cup. That World Cup final was crazy. That's probably the best World Cup final you ever gonna see. I'm talking about Messi, 2 goals, man of the match perform. Then, here comes Kylian Mbappe. He put in 1 goal, 2 goals, ice cold. Came back with a 3rd goal, clawing his French team from the brink of death, bro. That's what I'm saying. Then at the penalty shootout, puts the penalty in. Like, if you look at those 2 dynamic duos in terms of what they brought to that game and how they performed individually, that replay value in terms of those 2 players, they can make that a 2020 film on ESPN. I'm dead serious.
And
That
there's
was
also a story behind the game too. You know, like you got Mbappe chasing his 2nd World Cup to pretty much become the unequivocally, pretty much one of the best players of the generation. And then you got Messi, who pretty much is already the best player of the generation. He just needs that one cherry on top to make him the GOAT. It was just a crazy game.
Crazy game, crazy matchup, just putting their livelihood on the line. Like, this is me. I'm here. This is my platform. You'll never in history, I don't want to jinx it, but you'll probably never see anything better than that movie blockbuster we saw for the World Cup final there. That was crazy.
Yeah. Cliff, what do you think?
I think it's between that and the the Liverpool versus AC Milan, because that was another blockbuster performance that has replay value.
Gerrard!
Steven Gerrard pulled that game back. The thing is, we have to put into context too, because AC Milan is nothing like what AC Milan is now. AC Milan was the best of the best team.
Mm-hmm.
And even Liverpool going into that game, it was like, because I think it was the year before or was it the year after that they demolished, I forgot who they even went up against. But yeah, AC Milan was a different beast that year, or that
era.
So Liverpool going down 2 goals, I think it was 2 goals, and then Steven Gerrard coming back, I think with a penalty, and just ending up coming back and winning the game. That was a great performance. I think I have to put that up there.
Yeah, Stevie G, Mr. Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. All right, Oswald, what do you think?
I got a couple games that I can think off my head. Messi versus Bilbao in the Copa del Rey final. One of the best solo goals you've ever seen in your life. To score that goal in the final, and his performance just in general, I think he had like almost a 10 rating. You can also put Ronaldo versus Juve, that 2015 final. I could remember that. Yeah. I think he scored 2 goals and stuff like that. He had 2 goals in that final. Yeah. And he was all over the place, man. He was just all over the place. And the third one I could think of the top of my head is the Neymar versus PSG final. Versus Bayern Munich. Even though they lost, but his performance, I think he won best player of the game. They lost that game, but his performance, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you could pack that. You could pack that game up, bro.
You could pack that brother legs up too. That brother folded.
It's too soon, bro. Oh man.
Other one I can think of is Gareth Bale versus Liverpool, coming off the bench, scoring 2 goals. Also scoring a bicycle kick, the greatest goal of any final you ever see.
Yeah.
But honestly, overall, we're all gonna say, the World Cup final. But yeah, Messi, Ronaldo, come on.
Somebody gonna say Zidane. I see it coming.
Yeah. For me personally, the best individual performance I've seen in a final was Messi versus Manchester United in 2011.
Ooh.
Biggest masterclass game I've ever seen in any final ever, bro. I've never seen a team dominate another team. And Manchester United was a good team. Like, they were a good team.
Yeah.
But they made Manchester United look like an academy team. Like, the way they just dominate, like, Sir Alex Ferguson was on the sideline shaking. Like, he didn't know what to do. That team was just like, and Messi was like out of this world in that game. I think he might have megged like 20 people that game. Like,
that game was so disappointing,
like,
bro.
He was just dominant. I think that's the best individual performance I've ever seen in a final. I mean, and then you can also put in Mbappe's performance at the World Cup final. That he brought France back from dead, like out of nothing. So that's also up there as well. So
yeah, that Man U game was so disappointing because of how good Messi was. Because I remember that year. That's the year we were playing for Crofton. We were in Pennsylvania, and we were watching that game before we continued the tournament. Like, we were just watching, like, oh, Champions League final. We all sitting there watching this. They're like, oh, this is about to be crazy. Just see Man U get pocketed by Messi, literally. And Sir Alex Ferguson actually came out. He was like, he wished he would have switched up the tactics and actually brought on Ji-sung Park to man mark Messi himself, because like he destroyed them. I think they lost like 3-0 or something like that.
3-1.
3-1,
yeah. It was over by like the 60th minute. I was wrap this up, bro.
Yeah, it could have been way more than that. It could have been way more.
Yeah. That was the yellow F50 Messi right there.
Yeah. Them joints, right? Them F50s were wild.
It was over before it started.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. And this is was leaving Real Madrid the biggest mistake of Cristiano Ronaldo's career? Heavy hitting question right here. We're gonna let Cliff start with this one.
I mean, did he really have a choice? Honestly, because Real Madrid is not that type of team that's gonna hang on to a Ronaldo. You know, I felt like when he left, it's because Real Madrid wanted him to leave, wanted to sell him, wanted him to leave rather than Ronaldo wanting to leave himself. So I don't think it was Ronaldo's. I don't think it was really Ronaldo's choice to even like leave. But after, of course, after playing for Real Madrid, you're not gonna find a better team to play for. So it inevitably started his decline. But even still, after after Real Madrid going to Juve, he still put up crazy numbers. But I think afterwards, after going to Juve or after leaving Madrid, he started becoming like a scapegoat for every team's problems. You see, when Juve was struggling, they would blame Ronaldo. Then when Manchester United was struggling, they would blame Ronaldo, even though he was still putting up goals. So I think, yes, it was a mistake, quote unquote, a mistake, but I don't think it was his mistake. I just think that that's how it happened, and anything that happened after that was just it was just gonna get worse, because that's what happens when you leave a team like Real Madrid.
All right, Oswald.
Papa Perez, he does not play. whenever he sees any kind of decline, you're out of there. It doesn't matter who you are. Ronaldo, it doesn't matter. But I don't think it was, the wrong choice for him to leave. He went to Juve, won the league that first season, and he was top goal scorer. But Juve bought him, we all know Juve bought him just for the Champions League. So I don't think it was a bad decision for him to leave. That was actually a good way for him to leave and then just start something new and fresh. So.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off a point that Cliff made. The fact that like when you leave a club like Real Madrid or even Barcelona, like there's nowhere up to go from there. Like you're gonna go backwards regardless of where you go. After that, we know Ronaldo loves to accept new challenges. So it was definitely another challenge in another league, which was great for fans to see and great for Ronaldo to challenge himself. And he did, his due diligence for Juve. He was a great goal scorer and they won titles. But at the end of the day, we know that the biggest thing in club football is that Champions League. And Ronaldo, if he stayed at Real Madrid, he probably would have got at least another Champions League or maybe two. And that's a reality. That's a fact. Real Madrid they're still winning to this day. If Ronaldo stayed there, he would have at least maybe two more Champions League titles, at least maybe two more Ballon d'Ors. And he wants that. So like I think in some ways you can look at it as a mistake, but it wasn't really a mistake that he had necessarily control over, because obviously Perez wanted to flex his strength as the president of the club and do what he wanted to do. But like you got to just look at what happened in Ronaldo's Champions League runs since he left Real Madrid. He never made it past the quarterfinals in the Champions League after he left Real Madrid. Never made it to the finals or anything like that. So in a way, you can look at it, because we know that club players, they want to win that Champions League title, and we know that that's what most players chase at this level. So yeah, I mean, you can look at it as a mistake, but it's not really Ronaldo's mistake necessarily.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, for me, I can't classify it as a mistake because it wasn't necessarily in his own hands. I think if it was up to him personally, he would have stayed at Real Madrid. But I think like the setup that they wanted going forward, because we know how Real Madrid are in terms of like contracts. Like even Modric, as great as he's been playing, as good as he's been playing, they offer players of that age 1-year contracts at a time. So like it gives power to the owners, it gives powers to the management or upper management. So I think Ronaldo wanted to break that ice. He wanted to be different. And obviously it's Ronaldo. You're gonna pay him the most money because not only is he an asset on the field, but he's literally the biggest asset in world football off the field. So I think Real Madrid wanted to go in a different direction, which prompted him to really, evaluate his value and put himself first, which is why he moved to Juventus. Now it's all, nice and breezy to say, hey, he could have possibly won another Champions League, which is I think is probably true. But also to say that he could have possibly won another Ballon d'Or, I think that's up in the air. But yeah, because Real Madrid is that team, and that's the caliber of team Real Madrid is, they're always going to be around that vicinity in terms of winning the Champions League and just being the biggest club. He definitely could have seen that out and, been there and won some more, awards. But I think for him, it actually aided to his career when you say he was able to go to 3 domestic leagues and dominate. That is one of the individual different things he can say compared to the other greats that's ever played the game. Like he conquered Maradona's league, he conquered Rooney's league, he conquered Messi's league with Messi in it. So with that being said, it's like I think that aided to his variety of ability, and in terms of him speaking to his greatness, it aided him in that sense. So I don't never see it as a mistake. I just think Ronaldo was just getting older, and it is what it is.
All right. Pretty good opinions from everybody on that. So we're pretty much going to close it out with our last question, and that is, what is the best club team of all time? I'm going to let Toby start.
Easy.
In my opinion, it's Arsenal, but we're gonna let it rock. We're gonna let it rock. Sorry. But Stu, Arsenal invincible team. I'm sorry. Arsenal invincible team.
What happened to personal teams? Personal feelings aside, what happened to that?
I don't care. Like, obviously, I know everybody else is gonna say the best team that's ever won in terms of the best club team is going to be a team that's won the Champions League, did the treble, whatever the case would be. But you could say that for everybody. Now, I want to point out that Arsenal, that invincible squad, you look at the money spent in that squad, you look at what the coach did that year, you look at the amount of focus that's needed to do that in the hardest league in the world. And they weren't just playing fits and faddles back there. They were out there breaking legs. That was when you got Roy Keane trying to break Patrick Vieira's legs. That's the type of caliber in terms of the players they were playing in the toughest league every single day. Low block, just there to defend and break people's legs. And they went undefeated with people you don't even know playing at the back. You feel me? Like, not world stars compared to the AC Milans of the world. Yes, we know their name. Yes, it was Colo Torre. Yes, it was the people like that. But compared to the people that you guys are about to name that's won the Champions League, y'all about to name the most highly rated names of world football and say they're the best club team. But I want to give it to Arsenal, Invincibles, because they did it with that caliber of team, not the most expensive squad, did it in the hardest league. And bro, that's just crazy, fam. So yeah, I give it to them. I don't care.
All right, Oswald, who do you think?
All right, you can put your Arsenals up there. Chelsea 0506. 0405.
I'm gone, bro. I'm gone. Hey, don't make me leave this joint, bro. They didn't do nothing.
Here we go. What is going on?
95 points, 15 goals conceded.
What? Man said he scored 100, bro. Next.
But they conceded 15 goals. But anyways, honestly, Barcelona 2010-11 season when they beat Man U. I mean, treble season. Win league, won Copa del Rey, Champions League. Come on, what more do you want?
Ooh, actually, for me, I would say I would put the Arsenal team there, but for a shout out, I had to say that Bayern Munich team that won the treble, honestly, under Heinkes. Yeah, that team was insane. That's all I got. I don't know. Some people might have a little bit of trauma with Bayern, but
Don't you have
Arsenal has to come with Bayern.
and past y'all? What are you talking about?
Bro, y'all haven't beat them before 2000. Like the last time I beat them was before 2015. Off of
When was the last time y'all beat them?
7-8 games though. 7-8 games though, bro. Come on. How many times we played them? Probably like twice, 3 times. Y'all played them like 8 times.
You've played them several.
We beat them twice in the Champions League, bro.
Yeah, before 2015, bro. That's crazy. It's 2023. They beat y'all 8-2 in one game.
Just busted job, bro.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. They hunting people. That's all I'm saying. That's a good shout out for them. That treble went inside for Bayern. That's a great shout out for them.
All right, so Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the best team I've ever seen is Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. Even if I was like a Chelsea fan or a Dortmund fan, I would say the same. Number 2,
why Dortmund can't
I'm gonna say nah. But number 2, I would say Zidane's Real Madrid as the second best team I've ever seen, just because their will to win, their ability to just win games when you necessarily didn't think they might have been the best team all the time. And then number 3, I'd have to give it to Arsenal's invincible squad. That's my top 3 best teams. That's the 3 best teams I've seen.
That you've seen.
Yes, bro. Give credit where it's due, man.
That's what I've personally seen.
My thing is, if I put this team against this other team, who will win?
That's what I said y'all about to do, bro.
Barca against any of those teams, Pep's Barca is winning.
That's why
I picked them first.
That's why I said that's what y'all about to do. Y'all about to put the biggest caliber of names and be like, oh, they would beat the other team. That's not right. That's not what this is measured by, bro. Like that team had the least amount of money in terms of the other teams that you guys are talking about, bro. The other teams, there's hundreds of $1 million in those teams, bro.
Is there really criteria for that though? Like,
but it's true. I give credit for that team because they did that in the hardest league with other teams that are spending millions of dollars. Man, you was there, oh. That's what I'm saying. People like that were there in that league, and they did it. Please name me their start. I can name you the starting 11 for that Barca team. I can name you the starting 11 for that Bayern team. Bro. Name me the starting 11 for that Arsenal team.
We're just that good. That's the point.
Know them.
Name them, bro. Name them.
A lot of those Barca players were from the academy too, though.
The casual fan is not going to be able to name that starting 11. The casual fan will not be able to name that starting 11 for that Arsenal team. But they will name the people that played on that Bayern and Barcelona team easily. That's my point, because they big world names. Like, you gotta give credit where it's due. They went invincible in the hardest league with practically less money. Thank you. Thank you. Let's clap it up.
But let's be real for like a second, please. The thing is, we already know the Barca team is the best, right? But I don't know. I can't put the Invincible team up there with the best teams, because I don't think if you put them against the best teams, they're gonna beat the best teams. Simple. Even in that era, AC Milan would beat them. I'm sorry. Simple.
They had big names. What are we?
That's the point. That's the point. These are better teams than them, and it's okay to say that, you know, some teams are better than Arsenal's Invincible.
They could beat that team, but what is the best club team of all time. So if I'm looking at their respective league and what they did in their league, that invincible team, it should definitely be arguably number
They in the
one.
conversation.
What about Leicester?
That's all I'm saying.
What about Leicester 2015? What about Leicester?
They deserve a shout too, honestly. They do.
All right.
They do deserve a shout, bro. We
For
didn't
one
know
of the best club teams of all time.
in terms of that moment, they are one of the best club teams of all time in that moment. They were in the Champions League actually balling out. And we didn't even know them. It's true. We didn't even know who they were. Did you know who Conte was before that? Did you know who Mahrez was before that? Did we know who Jamie Vardy was before that? No, they did it with no names.
The season before that, they were in the league.
No, I'm talking about when they won the league. We didn't know about those players for Leicester.
Yeah, the point is that you're not the
So if you're telling me, if you look into the English Premier League and they were like, name some of the best club teams that you ever seen win the Prem, they're gonna talk about Leicester up there too because they did it with nothing. That's my point.
But I'm saying, like, would you think that Leicester is better than
No,
City from last year?
No, they're not. No,
like, how can you say they're the best club team when they're not better than other teams?
That's why my argument is coming from a different standpoint. I'm not here to match up the most extravagant club teams and be like, hey, this. Like Bayern versus Barcelona, who knows, bruh? That Bayern team might beat them. Honestly, that Bayern team might beat that Barcelona team.
Man,
Come on, bro. Come on.
Bro.
Not Guardiola's Barca, bro. Nah.
What you mean? Come on, bro.
Crazy.
Why not?
Be for real, bro.
What you mean?
Are you serious?
Bro, did you see that Manchester United game, please?
All right, let me go through. Let me go
for real, bro.
Nah, it's all good. Let me go through. You're talking about Manchester United. We're talking about a treble-winning Bayern team.
Same Bayern that was struggling against Dortmund. Come on, please.
That beat y'all 8-2. What are we talking?
Why are we talking about this?
Y'all were good.
Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about? Bro, that Dortmund team beat what's it called? Real Madrid 4-0. Did they not? Or 4-1? It doesn't matter, bro. They still struggled against them.
That was one of the best teams in the world, without a doubt. And they did that run effortlessly. Like no struggles, no nothing. That's why I'm telling you. Like that treble side can compete with anybody, even your Pep Guardiola side, which is what I'm saying. That's a toss-up. That's literally a toss-up. Like, how do you even gauge this? How do you number one? How do you even gauge this?
I get where you're coming from, though, but. Bruh, just watching that Barca team, bruh. It was so dominant.
You're all Barca fans. You're all Barca fans, bro. I get it, bro. You're all Barca fans.
Averaging like 70-something possession, bruh. 75 or something like that a season. That's insane.
You're all Barca fans, bro. Head to head, bro. In terms of Barcelona and Bayern, head to head. Bayern has 10 wins.
He pulled up
one draw.
You pulling up the wins that they got over
Barcelona has 2 wins.
Yeah, but you're pulling up the wins after Guardiola's era, though.
Yeah.
I'm not. This is head to head in the Champions League.
How many times have you?
Which one of those wins came when Guardiola was the Barca coach?
10 wins for Bayern, 1 draw, and 2 wins in total for Barcelona.
But which ones came when Guardiola was?
What they say, bro? This is UEFA.com.
See how he's ignoring the question, though? You see how he's ignoring the question, though? You see how he's ignoring the question?
This is UEFA.com,
those wins came when Guardiola was the coach.
This is UEFA.com. What that say?
Scroll up. What year?
What you mean? What year? It's everything, boy.
Which of those wins came when Guardiola was the coach?
Bro, all I'm really trying to say is that there's no real measurement for you to be like this team could beat the other because it's very arguable, bro. It's very arguable, bro.
It's not.
You're trying to literally say,
bro. It's like saying, is Messi the GOAT or is Ronaldo the GOAT? It's literally the same thing, bro.
No, it's not.
Yes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. What you guys are using as measurement is the fact that they beat Man U 3-0. That's not that Bayern side.
As that we watched them play, bro.
That's I watched them play and destroy
You didn't watch
Barcelona. We've watched Bayern play and destroy Barcelona. Talking about we didn't watch them well.
You watched Bayern play when Barcelona was being coached by Quique Setien, bro.
That's
not
that
Guardiola,
Bayern. That Bayern team is probably the best Bayern team, one of the best Bayern teams they've ever had, ever. Okay. So all these other Bayern teams that are beating Barcelona variations, you talking about Kike's this. They beat y'all for the last 7 meetings, so that's different managers. So you're telling me you don't think at all there will ever be a time or a match that Bayern team could possibly beat that Barcelona team? Like who?
I'm not saying. I'm saying that if you're gonna bank on it and you watching Barcelona's Pep Barcelona against
that's hype.
Yankees Bayern.
That's hype.
You're picking Barca, bro.
That's hype, bro.
You're picking Barca, bro.
That's hype.
Like,
I'm not
Bayern
picking
never
Barca.
Beat us under Pep, bro.
I'm not
beat us under Pep.
I'm not picking Barca, bro, because I don't. The truth is, we don't know. Like that's literally all hype.
But that's the point. That's the point of what we're doing. It's an exercise.
I'm telling you,
he just doesn't want to say Barcelona, bro.
I believe Bayern.
It's okay.
I believe Bayern can beat that Barcelona side. It's not a one-off. Oh, it's Barca. No, bro. That Bayern treble-winning Bayern side could beat that Barcelona side. Just like the other people that y'all named. Those are all great teams with huge caliber players, bro. There's not one team that's just significantly So, which is why I'm coming at it from a different angle and even saying it's the Arsenal team because I'm looking at it from a different factor. Y'all sitting here trying to compare. That Bayern team can beat that Barcelona team. That's all I'm saying.
You don't want to say Barca. It's okay, though.
Okay.
Yeah. All three of y'all are Barcelona fans,
okay,
bro. I ain't going to knock it, bro. It is what it is.
Come on, bro.
When the answer is so clear.
But it's clear.
It's so clear.
Sam even said it's not clear. He said it's not clear. It's not clear. It's clear that Barca team gonna beat that Bayern team. That's dead.
Yes.
That's dead. Hey, call up Barcelona. Call up Bayern Munich right now. Tell them y'all want y'all lick back.
Bring back Xavi and Iniesta and Messi in their prime.
Tell them they want their lick back, bro.
We're gonna spin the block.
Yeah, Ribery Robbins is there for fun. They just cooling. Philip Lamb just cooling, yeah. Newer is just cooling.
Getting cooked by prime Messi, bro.
Okay. I can cook by non-prime Bayern. Okay.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up for today. I want to give many thanks to the viewers, the crew for their input today. Please drop us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter under the name The Offside Zone. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be discussing new topics weekly pertaining to the world of football. In the comments, let us know what club team you think is the best of all time. Everyone, please stay safe, stay blessed, and see you guys in the next video.